Hello, everybody. It's great to be here one more time today. And my name is Gary Fowler, and I'm the CEO, president, and founder of GSD Get You Done Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio located in the heart, yes, the heart of Silicon Valley, Palo Alto, California. I'm a 17-time serial entrepreneur with a couple unicorns under the belt. I was on the original management team of Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion, and also Eva.ai, an AI HR tech company. Anyhow, I got a great friend and guest today. Jon's going to be talking about, and he just did a book on, and he's been doing a lot with ChatGPT. So we're going to talk about funding, and we're going to talk about how he's doing today. So with that, hey Jon, how you doing, buddy?
Hi Gary, good to see you as always.
I like that, Jon Funding.
Yeah, because I do various kind of funding aspects, as you know, and we look for different deals. Right now, I'm working with Hardcore Enterprises, which we just acquired Signal Ways, and we're looking for acquisition targets and funding opportunities there. And funding sounded better than freed, but I
Yeah,
guess
no,
with the right funding, you could be freed.
I like. Yeah, you're free. You're free in the funding. That's great. So, Jon, now tell me a little bit about it. I understand you just got married recently.
I did just get married to a wonderful girl. Her name is Rebecca Short. And so I used her last name for the book. I wrote that under the name Jack Short. She's from Kansas. She's very smart, a DO, and we're here in San Francisco. We're not too far away from you, but it's polar opposites lifestyle in San Francisco versus the Valley.
Yeah, what's going on in San Francisco these days?
Well, it's weird because it's about to come back. It still hasn't fully come back. The financial district is still very shut off. Mayor London Breed has talked about how to change the zoning to allow biotech companies to start taking those office spaces and all that. But the rest of the city, North Beach, the marina, all the neighborhoods where there's restaurants and shops, those are coming back quite big. I'm here at Canopy, which is like a high-end WeWork. I mean, I shouldn't say it that way, but that's what
you're there right now. I see people I can see in the glass behind you. I see people working on the computer.
And later I'll show you, I got a beautiful view of Telegraph Hill, and it's great here. But San Francisco is on the rise again. People thought with the pandemic, we're all coming down into remote work and all that, but there's a value to being together. And we see that with ChatGPT, coming out of Hayes Valley, people are moving from New York, they're moving from all over to come and find the Hayes Valley to talk about generative AI and all that. Jackson Square here, we got AngelList down on the corner and all that. So, there is a value to being near everybody and the coffee shop discussions and the, water cooler chit chat.
Yeah, no, it's important.
It's coming back.
So it's coming back, and I mean, how does it feel? Are the layoffs affecting in San Francisco? Do you feel that, like with Salesforce and Twitter, and I mean, do you feel that? Is it obvious or yeah?
Well, you feel it down in the financial center. I always like Jackson Square because it's the historic part of San Francisco, but it's right on the border. It's right next to the Transamerica building. So we're right here on Montgomery Street. If I go one block down all the way to Market, it's pretty quiet, and you go all the way down to like LinkedIn headquarters and all that, and that's pretty quiet. That is pretty quiet. They say, with remote work and all that, that people, 1/3 of the people are going to work remotely, but there's really a 70% vacancy rate, I would say.
Really?
They're not talking. They're not talking that way.
Wow, that's unbelievable. And so what's happening, Jon? Are they moving out of the city and moving to Vegas or Austin and then, just tied into the headquarters, or what are they doing?
Well, with Web 3.0 and the progress of technology, this decentralized workforce, there's this personality, there's this characteristic in society that we're having where we're kind of finding our independence. We come out of a pandemic. A lot of people did soul searching. They were stressed out, things like that. What's the value of going into the office? I know one company I really love, which is Lunar Bank. It's out of Norway, I think. they're converting their office space to be more like a gym social, so the people come together to work, to work out, to be friendly, and then they can still go home and work, right? So the definition of commercial space is going to change, I
Yeah,
think.
it's interesting. You see this transition. Interesting part, I've seen this, the ups and downs and ins and outs of Silicon Valley. I mean, since the late 80s, 90s,
Yeah.
2001, 2000. I mean, it's just the way it is. And I remember coming into San Francisco after March of 2000. And for the next year coming up, and there were all these startups it was so robust, it was unbelievable. And they just like it was a ghost town, and they came out. And then guess what? The ones that survived became the next, the sales forces of the world. It was
So,
unbelievable.
I'm 5 generations in San Francisco. And the thing we see is that California is a pioneer town. It's a pioneer state. California is, a boom bust. We had the gold rush. We had, so we're used to this boom and bust, and finding that next thing. Howard Hughes. I just watched the Aviator movie. And you just realize that it attracts people. It has a New York, they say, has a personality, that's distinct, this distinctively New York brand. California
Yeah.
has that as well. Different brand, but and
Well,
that transfers, that mentality transfers.
let's just
Yeah,
hope we don't get like Howard Hughes and start growing long fingernails and long hair, right?
right. You should have seen me. You
No,
should have seen me at the height of the pandemic. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, what was it like in San Francisco during the pandemic, John?
Oh man. Well, it's funny because in the beginning, I thought I would be like Howard Hughes, and I ran off to Palm Springs, get that desert air to avoid the germs.
Yeah, yeah.
But then it lasted so long, it came back. Everything was underground. People still met, restaurants were still kind of open, but the doors were closed. You had to know
Really?
somebody. Oh yeah, and you
Sounds
you
like
got to meet your neighbors.
prohibition.
Yeah,
Sounds like
yeah,
prohibition.
yeah, yeah,
Knock on the door and the little thing opens up and they look at you and come on in.
yeah, yeah. And what was cool, at the time, I was living by Coit Tower, which is, well, you can't see it from here, but it's right there. And there was a daily yoga that people would do from the rooftop. So you would look out on your rooftop and you could see all your neighbors doing yoga together. It was
Seriously.
cool. Yeah,
That
yeah.
sounds like a movie. That's really interesting. Oh my God, that's great. So you survived through that. They came out, you got married. When did you get married?
So November 28th,
Wow, that
29th. Sorry, don't tell her I messed up. The
wow,
book
there you
starts
go.
on the 28th.
Sh-
The
Remember, today's Valentine's Day.
Yeah, yeah. You got big plans?
We're just gonna go out to dinner. I got my wife some jewelry, and we're gonna go out and have dinner and relax a little bit, have some fun together.
Well, 1 year ago today, I was in New York City. We had just taken Hardcore public, which is enterprise software solution, the biggest in Japan, and we took them public on Nasdaq. So I think today we had our celebration dinner at Gallagher's. Do you know Gallagher's Steakhouse
Yeah,
in New
yeah,
York
sure.
City? That was a great place, and we just had a big meal. So this year it's just going to be me and the missus and a small meal. But last year
Wow,
there
that's
was we
great.
had a
Well,
big
it sounds
party.
like you're real happy now, John.
Yeah, everything is great. Everything is great.
That's
Yeah,
super. Yeah, we're still
yeah.
working on the AI companies. We have 127 companies in the portfolio now from 55 countries. And
Mhm.
especially we're working with companies that are utilizing ChatGPT. So they're from places like Nigeria, Ghana, Zambia. They're from Florida, they're from Indonesia, Malaysia, the Czech Republic. But there's this incredible amount of these companies, this next wave of these unsupervised
Yeah.
ChatGPT companies coming out. And the things
Mhm.
that they're doing now are just unbelievable. It's like,
Mhm.
you can't even compare it to 2 years ago. It's like a different world already. And these are the
Yeah.
companies that are going to be the next Twitters and Facebooks, the ones that are going to make our lives a lot better and solve, global warming issues with global warming, to be able to help us to understand and make corrective actions. But in fact, I
Yeah.
heard the statistic. I met with this guy, Sayed Dandata. He's the wealthiest family in Africa. Really nice person. But he was telling me, he's from Nigeria. He said the population of Nigeria is 270 million, but in 5 years it's estimated to be 1 billion just in that country.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot
Still,
of growth.
well,
That's
there's
a lot of growth.
1.4 billion people in Africa, and estimated that Africa will be bigger than the combined population of China and India by the end of the century. And so, we got to start looking to these places where there are opportunities, right? And sometimes we were recently in Africa, there aren't enough people from Europe, people from the US that are down there. And, Silicon Valley is a great gateway, a port to the rest of the world. And there's abundance of these companies like Patricia and Flutterwave that are now, approaching $1 billion valuations. It's unbelievable. And we need to be
Yeah.
able to, it's like having a Ferrari in the garage. I tell them, you got to get your Ferrari out of the garage and drive it around. We want to help.
I always believed in what's called battlefield testing. A lot of technology companies, they like to do testing in an incubator, isolated from the world, and just, run tests in the design and review, verification, and things like that. But I've always thought just taking it to the public as fast as possible, build the community of support, and just beta test it. Chat GPT, I mean, that was a beta that came out in November 29, and it just took off. I think Microsoft put 10 billion into it, and it's amazing what generative AI can do. And what we can see is that it's still skewed. The human is still necessary. The human is still an important part, because, and to make an analogy, it's almost like, does math beat intuition, right? And math, statistically, the right answer can come over and over and over again. But you still, as human beings, we still need to feel that it is right,
Yeah.
and so.
But John, think about this. When you have this emotion AI, right, then it's kind of like your grandmother. Here we now have intelligence, right? You imagine reading all the books in the world and basically knowing everything. I mean, truly like an oracle. But now the situation with this, in fact, it's like a Star Trek movie, to be honest with you. I mean, it's like how those.
That's better than a Greek tragedy.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Right.
But
Yeah.
I mean, think about how much our world's going to change in the lifetime of your kids in terms of, how much longer they're going to live, what the quality of life is going to be, how they're going to be able to. I mean, it democratizes things. You got GPT. You don't have to be the brightest person out there, but you have access to all the knowledge.
And I think that's where creativity is going to come into play. I was thinking about that actually this morning. We have Gen Z defined by the iPhone. 2008 was a mortgage crisis. The iPhone had come out. And it's almost like when there's a global crisis, the technology can take a leaps and bounds. Why? Because it is under stress that we grow. It is under stress that we innovate. And so having this come out after a pandemic, the world is ready to reboot. And we're going to see the defining of a different generation where emotional IQ is going to be more important, and creativity, because everything else can be done and then automated. 100%. It's a different generation that's coming, which I'm taking a little joy, because Gen Z refers to me. I'm Y, right? They refer to everybody over the age of 30 as a boomer. And so
Yeah, right.
I'm happy that they're getting old now.
That's
starting to get old.
It's interesting. This world, I don't know about you, but if I was to look back 4 years ago and talk about the pandemic and now this UFO stuff, I would be thinking I'm living in a bad movie. You know what I mean? Like, it's like all the bad movies together, like we got this pandemic. Now you've got octagonal UFOs that are being shot down. It's like, I feels like there was a movie. What was it with Will Smith when they had the aliens come in? Remember that movie? I forget what it was called.
I was thinking of Cowboys versus Aliens, but that's
Oh
not
my
Will
God,
Smith.
that one too. Yeah, with Harrison Ford.
That's a good one. Yeah.
But I mean, you look at it, it's like, I mean, it's unbelievable, actually. You can't write this stuff. It's like you couldn't even have a movie script that's this cool. I wouldn't even watch the movie because I would never believe it. There's a balloon with three, with tractor trailer sized equipment on it. Then you got this octagonal shaped UFO stuff. But as we go forward and we start to learn more about the universe, we're going to start to explore things, right? There's 6 billion Earth-like planets in the Milky Way, estimated 2.2 trillion galaxies in the universe. There's a lot out there. And at the same time, just like you said, we got to take care of the planet that we're on. We got this wonderful, beautiful planet. I don't know about you. When we look at Mars and we talk about colonizing Mars, when Elon Musk does, I don't know about you, but I don't like Death Valley either. And it's that's like a bad Death Valley. It's not so.
Yeah, but you know what? I think reaching for the stars is a good aspiration to have. Keep your feet on the ground and worry about what you can do here to make a better planet and all that, and a more just and humane world. That should be the point of technology, creating a more just and humane world while allowing dreamers to dream big. It's those big dreams that we go after that make life and commerce and everything worthwhile, right? The flying bikes, the founder of Hardcore, he brought snowboarding to Japan, and now he's working with those flying bikes. You saw the flying bikes, right?
No.
And there's those flying bikes that it's like I think in the Middle East they're going to use them for police force.
Flying bikes.
Flying bikes. I know you were into e-bikes.
The one that have the quadcopter thing. Yeah, I seen them. Oh, I'd love to have one of them. That would be fun.
Yeah. And then e-bikes and what you've managed to do there and stuff like that. So the thing of making a more just and humane world and a place where we can all live peacefully and healthily, but I mean, going for the stars, I mean, that's the moonshot, right?
Yeah.
I had a friend, Wesley Prophet, who was the first African American to graduate from Harvard undergrad and graduate school. And he used to tell me, doesn't matter the only thing he learned at Harvard was it doesn't matter how great you are. In the room, there is somebody better, unless you landed on the moon. Now he graduated, back when, in the 60s. So it's a different story. But I mean, making it to the moon, making, space travel and that technology, what we can do. A lot of venture capital is used as risk capital. It's not about that one piece. The jet engine of Howard Hughes wasn't about the viability of jets. We had planes. What do you need jets for, right?
Yeah.
But all the ancillary development that comes along in trying to make something else happen, something bigger than ourselves. Sansar with creating a digital duality, right? And having a metaverse concepts and things like that. So creating new economies and building wealth.
I mean, we got to go down through, we got challenges in front of, we got 8.1 billion people on the planet. By the end of this century, we have 13. We got to double the food supply by 2050 to feed everybody and can't increase the number of cattle because 26% of the pollution is methane gas from cows. We've got to come up with different ways. We got to increase crop.
I think we're going to have a faster growth spurt than that. We'll have a faster growth spurt than that because with AI and all that taking, half of the jobs becoming obsolete in the next 15 to 25 years through that, we're going to have a lot of free time. The largest transfer of wealth in the history of mankind, $56 trillion, is about to go from the baby boomers to Gen Z, right? Or X, Y, and Z or millennial. Anyways, that transfer of wealth plus the fact that we're going to have this free time with technology, we're going to be making more babies faster. It's not the end of the century to 13 billion, right?
Well, it sounds like a lot better environment. It sounds like. But the thing is, who gets paid if there's that much money that's being made by these systems? Well, then what about the individuals? Will there have to be universal basic income because there'll be no jobs for people? How does that work? I mean, we have another set of parameters we got to work through, right? What's your value in the society if you can't work because you've gotten displaced by this? This ChatGPT 4 or whatever it becomes 5.
And that's one of the things actually in the book, around the middle of it, we start to look at what is the effects on art and technology to social change.
Yeah.
And all that. And really the expression of self. And so if you think about what are we going to be doing, how are we going to, hopefully we become art lovers. We appreciate each other's auras and presence, right? And think, I mean,
That sounds like
that's one
that
value
sounds
you
like
can't change.
another Star Trek movie. You know what I mean? They had the situation where I don't remember which one it was, but they had this omnipresent force that basically was a computer. Do you remember that? It controlled everything, and you had these people that were just
Yeah,
like
in the utopian, it was a
yeah,
utopian world.
it was crazy. It was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
but I mean,
yeah. I
that's what
remember
it's
that.
becoming, right? I don't know. Roddenberry sure knew what he was talking about because he surely was nice. And I just saw a device, by the way, that was like a tricorder that will look at the frequency of your cells to figure out if you have a disease or not. And it's
Wow.
like a tricorder, like a real tricorder. And so it can tell if you got cancer without doing any invasive stuff. And it's also got the capabilities to be able to take that signal using harmonic resonance and turn it back on your body to actually modify those cells. So they're looking
That's
at,
beautiful.
yeah, it's interesting.
The healing power of sound. You know,
Can you imagine?
my wife is is a psychiatrist, and we have a friend at the coffee shop we talk to who does study in sound healing technology, and how the sound can help. But the thing about movies and television and all that, I was at Wookiee, we're creating a way to animate the contents of the web. That's why we bought Sansar. And one of the things we did was we created a small commercial because it was easier to fabricate or make a storyline of what we wanted to do. And then from that, so I mean, if you think of Star Wars and Star Trek and all that, and then young kids see it and they're like, that would be cool. Get smart with the Apple Watch, right? If you
Yeah.
remember, what was his name? Max Smart.
Yeah. What's his uh Agent 99 and
Yeah,
yeah. I remember and loving it, Chief. I remember that. He had the watch and yeah, but those things became real, right? It's like
yeah,
the pieces that we talked about, the science fiction becomes reality. It's kind of interesting, isn't it? Even with the cell
yeah.
phones, the first flip phone, the StarTAC, many years ago. I remember they looked like the freaking.
Those were great.
Remember that?
The
Those
flip,
little pencils?
yeah, those
I
are
like those
great.
little. They could fit in your pocket. You didn't have to worry about all kinds of stuff, and you weren't worrying about checking your email all the
You never
time.
pocket dialed somebody. Yeah.
Never pocket dialed somebody. Never. Well, those are the days. Anyhow, there's a lot going on, and it sounds like your life has fundamentally changed. How long did it take you to write your book, by the way?
Okay, so now we're going to come to the truth of the whole thing of Chat GPT, right?
Yeah.
I used it to write the book. That's why it says "In Human with Chat GPT," and I covered many different subjects from personal development, business ethics, sports, um, art history, social change, all kinds of stuff. And I try to make it where I'm just sharing. A lot of people, they get a new technology, they don't know how to play with it. So I wanted to share my first time playing with the technology. It's 140 pages. AI and I wrote it in an hour.
Well, now, how did you go down through? Because you couldn't write. I mean, only accept so much text, right?
Well, and that's the thing. I used my experience in search, and creating a way to animate the contents of the web, along with a gentleman named Garnet Cheney, who was a leader in the functionality of the search bar. And so I
Yeah.
knew how to talk to it, and how to draw out. And I also show in telling a story of different. I also show where it has weaknesses, where it can be a little biased, and how to make that bias.
So you wrote it one
Not
hour. Now, did you do it a paragraph at a time? How did you do that?
No, from beginning to end. From
So,
beginning to end.
you only can put so much in ChatGPT though, right? It's only can be like a couple paragraphs. It doesn't come out with pages and pages, correct?
No, there's a way around it. There's a way around it. Yeah,
Huh.
yeah, there's a way around it.
That's
And
great.
and and you see, and what I did was, other than the first, the introduction and the ending and here and there, you see my influence over it, and it's supposed to be kind of like a conversation. Imagine you're at a dinner party, and everybody's talking about different subjects around you, and you're listening in. And that's what I did with ChatGPT. I took it out for for a party. Yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
that's great. So you
And then
did
I just
that.
wanted to share it right away, because the idea is, to give it to the public and let it soar, so people can start to imagine how they would want to do it. Now, the beta version, which has come out, the beta version, they now have a pro service, which I might use for the next book. But you can write
And how
a
much
book.
is the pro service? How much does that cost?
Oh, it's cheap. It's not that expensive. I don't
Really?
remember exactly, but if I was willing to sign up for it, it wasn't that expensive.
Wow, that's amazing. So the pro service, what do you do? Just go to ChatGPT. Where do you find OpenAI, or where did you go to find for the audience out there? Where do you find the service?
Open AI. You go to Open AI. The problem with ChatGPT right now is that capacity. If you remember, a lot of technology, they just skyrocket. It's at capacity. But what I'm pushing through at Hardcore with Signal Ways is to create, because that's an enterprise, grade technology company, right? And
Yeah.
and they have like 100 engineers and things like that from Japan and India and all over the world. And so what I'm hoping to do is kind of boost it to enterprise level of technology, right? Because there's unique characteristics when you have so many users on board, or you have so much data points to go through. We see the web go from finding something, right? And let me go look up something on Google, to creating something. Let's have Facebook, to now it can create your own and you can monetize it.
And I think it's
And so the
great.
jobs of the future.
Now, do you have to share the profits with OpenAI? How does that work?
We'll find out. We'll find out. I'm sharing the profits right now with Amazon.
I see. It's interesting, though.
Yeah, yeah. Just to keep the lights on. Just to keep the
That's
lights on.
great. Well,
And if I
I
can,
think you got the lights way on. I'm sure. By the way, do you still have your sailboat?
well, okay. Funny point. I do still have that sailboat from the last time, which was a 30-foot Bristol, but I bought a 39-foot Yorktown, and so we're actually going to take it out this weekend. I have the 40. I had a 47-foot in Florida, and that was nice and spacious. The 30-foot was just to see if the kids like sailing. But if you know somebody, I have an extra boat now. If you want it, it's yours.
Oh, that's great. 30-foot Bristol, yeah?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's good. It's good. You know,
Wow, that's
it's a lot of
amazing.
fun. It's a lot of fun.
Well, your kids like it.
And
It
it's
sounds
just,
like your wife likes it. That's great.
yeah, yeah. She loves the boat. She does love the boat.
That's
And
super. Well, you seem
yeah,
really calm now, John. You calm down a lot.
a lot of
You
people
know?
told me that. Well, I was in a hectic mode of creativity. So now it's nice. It's nice.
That's
Settle
great.
down. You know, Working away, supporting friends. You know,
That's
and
good.
talking about Africa, for example, I have a friend that has Crib MD. That what she does is they provide doctors. It's like an Uber for doctors, kind of like the in-court Uber for lawyers.
Hmm.
And that because Africa is a big market,
Yeah,
and it's untapped. It's been, it hasn't been really commercialized, by Nike and Adidas or whoever, right?
well, it's
So
not.
almost
You
everybody.
got 54 countries, and you got a lot of different cultures, and you got some
Yeah,
danger in some of the countries too. It's not like you got to be a little bit careful where you go. But the good news is it is a growing market. It's just like any other place. You got to know where to go and who to talk to.
yeah.
But there are opportunities out there. Listen, we're coming up to the top of the show. I really
Awesome.
appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to get together with us. So, closing thoughts and how do people get a hold of you?
All right. Well, anytime for you, Gary, is a pleasure for me. And if you want to get a hold of me, I'm at intakefunding@gmail.com. That's my personal email. The book is called AI and the Human with ChatGPT. I use the name Jack Short because I'm newlywed and her last name is Short. And If you want to get a hold of me via email, that's great. If you want to do via text, it's 415-590-0650.
That sounds great.
And
Listen,
Gary, it's a pleasure. Happy Valentine's Day.
yeah, happy Valentine's Day. You know, it's great seeing you today. And to my audience out there, thanks for joining one more time. GSD Presents Silicon Valley AI and Tech. And my name's Gary Fowler, and I am your host. Stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. I'll be back again Thursday with another exciting edition. Thanks, Jon, for joining, and thanks, everybody, for tuning in one more time. Thank you.